Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special report on insurance and the Christchurch earthquake. We're here with Amanda Morell, the personal finance editor for interest.co.nz, who's just come back from a trip to Christchurch to find out what's happening on the ground there with those people who have got damaged houses and are claiming for insurance, and looking ahead now to what this might cost, not just Christchurch, but those people who have insurance policies in Christchurch and around the country. Firstly, on the cost of the rebuild and the insurance bill for Christchurch, what's it looking like, Amanda?
We've heard all sorts of numbers bandied about over the last couple of weeks. Initially, Treasury was estimating that the cost of the rebuild for the two earthquakes would be about $15 billion. When I was talking to Peter Townsend, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce there, he said we're looking more in the order of $30 billion. So the costs are quite huge.
And looking at what this might do to insurance premiums, what are you hearing?
There's no doubt that we're going to see a rise, a rather radical one, in our premiums. How much is really speculative right now, but one insurer I spoke with said at a base minimum 20%. So, and that could be leveraged in the next few months as well. So,
why is it that they can say they can increase premiums? Why do they have to?
Well, they're trying to recover from their losses, so they're going to. There's no doubt they're going to take a shellacking over this one. There's about 20,000 homes that potentially might need to be destroyed. The damage is in the thousands for the others that might look on the surface to have suffered minor damage, but inside it's quite severe. For example, one house when I was in, a friend gave me a tour. They were looking at 100,000 plus. Another home down the street, 300 to $400,000. Across the view, I could see several multi-million-dollar homes, all which were destined to be bulldozed. So, of course, naturally, they've got to recover that. Their premiums are going to go up as well from reinsurers, so they want to pass that on and get back to sort of pre-earthquake levels. They want to do business.
But I understood that insurers took in your premiums during the good times and stored it up and then paid out the costs when the accident or the earthquake came. And over the last 4 or 5 years, they've taken in, on average, about $660 million in premiums and only paid out around 4.5%, around the 31 million mark. So how come they haven't got enough in reserve to handle this?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how much they have in reserve, but we were able to dig up those figures from the Insurance Council of New Zealand. And just on their earthquake business alone, yes, like you said, they were banking those premiums. They only paid out $31 million on about 635 rather, that was paid out. So, and the data doesn't go back further than 2004. So there must be surely a considerable pool in the backlog that they could rely on and draw on. So, that's the rationale we're hearing, that they need to recover.
But some companies are different from others. Obviously, AMI didn't have enough reserves to handle it. What's the choices now for those policyholders who are seeing their premiums increase? What can they do? Who should they look for and look around?
Yeah, I'd be shopping around if I were a policyholder. I'd be doing the same for myself. Typically, you can go through a broker, and they're meant to get you the best price on the market. But, that's not even a full safe anymore. We've had a lot of bad events happen with brokers and insurers in this country recently. There's the Herbert Insurance Group. 7,000 policyholders there were left in the lurch when this company went under. They were insuring finance companies. Then we had Western Pacific in Queenstown. Little digging there, we found out that this guy was run out of Australia, set up shop within 3 months here in New Zealand, and they tipped over very quickly after having a pretty heavy exposure to the Christchurch market. So you got to do your due diligence, shop around, investigate the company, and also look for the most competitive rate. But bear in mind what you're going to get in return for that as well, because the devil is in the detail with these insurance policies.
And you can get an idea of the relative costs of the different insurers by having a look at some of the comparisons on our site for insurance.
That's right. It's tricky to get that comparative information. It would be a gold mine if we could. We do have some sort of bare bones information out there on our site, so that's a good place to start. You can use a broker. You're not obliged to go through them at the end of the day, see what they come up with, and make a few phone calls out there.
And finally, around Christchurch, many people are seeing high rates as well from their councils. So the costs of this earthquake are coming through in different ways.
That's right, yeah. So we'll feel it in the wallet with the insurance premiums, but you're bound to feel it with the rates as well. In Waimakariri District Region alone, they're looking at a 7 to 8% increase. That's to recover some of their losses. They took it really hard during the September 4th earthquake. Some of the rate holders there will look as much as a 14% increase.
Wow.
Steep. Christchurch, it's a different scale altogether, so they're bound to take some increases there on the rate side of things. It's just a matter of when that's going to be passed on.
So insurance premiums and rates are rising. There was Amanda Morell, thank you very much, our personal finance editor, talking about the insurance implications of the Christchurch earthquake. I'm Bernard Hickey for Interest.co.nz.